Good morning, everyone. May the 5th. Some people were fortunate. They perhaps were allowed to go back to work yesterday, and perhaps they are grinning from ear to ear because they're back at work. And some of us have to stay at home. We're still under lockdown. And I can imagine levels perhaps of frustration beginning to build up. And I was struck in the readings this morning in morning prayer about the Exodus and how the people became anxious, frustrated, and so easily dissuaded from following God. The story of the last few days is of Moses going up the mountain and meeting with God. And Moses goes up the mountain and he's there for an exceedingly long period of time, 40 days and 40 nights. And while he is up the mountain, the people who have remained behind, that vast throng of people leaving Egypt, this nation becoming a nation, they thought Moses had died. And what amazes me is how quickly they turn from following God and worshiping him to creating for themselves a golden calf, which they then worship. And part of me can well understand their anxiety, their belief that perhaps something had happened to Moses. But what does amaze me is the way in which they turn so rapidly from following God and create for themselves an idol. How does this relate to us? Well, perhaps some of us, all of us probably, are becoming a little frustrated and a little tired of the lockdown. It's been going on for a long time. And some have gone back to work and others cannot. We are still stuck at home. But it's not for us to become frustrated with the government. Some of their rules are maybe a bit petty and over the top. But it's not for us to take the law into our own hands. In our spiritual walk, and that's what I want to focus on this morning, what is your relationship with God like? Just because you're not going to church doesn't mean the church now runs and pays its electricity bills and the small salaries, the stipends that we pay our clergy. That doesn't come out of thin air. Are you maintaining your relationship with God? Are you continuing in your prayer and Bible reading? Are you continuing to think about the church and to give them those things that they require, the money? So often people say to me, I didn't go to church, therefore I don't pay the church. And they don't certainly put something aside to pay later. But the church is struggling financially. Many of us are struggling spiritually. Don't lose sight of God. For he does care for us. He is still here. And God has a plan. There is a purpose for this. And those 40 days and 40 nights for which Moses went up and disappeared up the mountain, these 40 days and 40 nights that we might well be under lockdown and longer, it's not for us to create our own idols. Let us not forget God. He is still in control. Folks, have a wonderful day and God bless.